marker. Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where entrepreneurs and business owners publish to grow their businesses and to leave a legacy. We're doing a series of business spotlights on remarkable people, places, and things from across the country and even in your town. Joining me on this segment is Eric Myrthil. He's the show director and manager of themainradio.com, and he's also with iHeartRadio, Rochester, New York, as a host. Eric, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the invitation, Mark. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. And it's my pleasure. Thank you for joining me. Eric, tell us a little bit about your work and specifically the types of folks that you work with and help.
Oh, well, basically I'll be 9 years into the whole radio media thing on the 9th of this month, actually. I think that's coming up. It's 4 days from now. So probably Sunday. I'm not even sure. I don't know. I'm lost.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah. And even after being fired 3 times from that very organization, I end up coming back on different shows. And I've actually been with this show that I'm on now on iHeart for 5 years. So
on radio, that's an accomplishment. So congratulations.
Yeah. And but my most proud accomplishment was when I actually met these 2 guys at a party. And they had a server that I took my expertise and brought to the host that I work under, and we created the main radio from that. And we started that November of 2018.
Yeah, tell us about the main radio. What's that all about? Who do you help? Who listens?
It's basically it's a platform where if you got something to say and you don't want interference on how to say it, come to us and we'll give you the spot. Actually, we're expanding at the moment. I believe we have a listenership of 40,000 globally. But once the expansion happens, that should kick up to about 60.
So as you mentioned, it's podcasts and it's a variety of different topics then, it sounds like.
Yes, it's about 11 shows now. And the hosts all come from different backgrounds and cover different areas. I just recently concluded my show. It was one of the startup shows on the network. It was called The Eric Hour. I got to a place where I realized I'm a lot better at building this network than I am at hosting my own show. And my show was the bee's knees when it was running. But I just saw that I was better somewhere else. So I decided to step back to program director and conclude my show.
Right on. Give us an example of some of the folks that have come on and created programs on the main radio. Are they variety programs or are they very niche specific topics?
Oh, no. We actually have a therapist. She's an LMHC now. She's going to start pursuing her PhD in the fall. And her show is Saturday night, 7 to 8 on the site. Her name's Michelle Thomas. She's an LMHC at the moment. Like I said, she's in pursuit of her PhD. Of all the shows on the network, she's the one that I don't mind, hopping up no matter what I'm doing and going to make sure she's okay. Because I know the importance of her show. With the fact that this country's finally starting to take mental health serious, it's a much needed avenue. And then the fact that she's, a therapist that looks like and can identify with the Black and Latino community, being that, she's not of the color of the Caucasian, she looks like me. So I find that kind of comforting when I'm, looking to vent.
So you bring up a really good point that, people need information now. People want to, have a channel of communication, perhaps to their audience, so whether you're a business owner or you're a thought leader in a certain market. Tell me about the folks like these folks that come to you to want to do a show. Did they approach you? Do you approach them? How do people know that it's time for them to get themselves a show?
Well, if you know me and if you're in Rochester, you know me. Unfortunately, it's become a gift and a curse. But yeah, they come and they're like, wow, you do radio. You've been doing this long. And now they know I have the ability to, create new shows and offer them a platform. And when I had my program going, basically every show I brought in was a feature on my show. Michelle from the Saturday night spot that I just mentioned, she was my monthly mental health feature. So like when I had her up, we would talk about like something that was going on mental health wise that needed to be addressed. And then with the fact that it's uncensored, that really helps because you can really let it out. What was another one? There's a show Wednesday nights, Deep Talk with Sonny Blaze. A guy about my age. He's also Haitian American like me. He's the other program director on the network, the main radio. But his show is where he just he interviews like high-minded people and picks their brain for an hour. There's a Break Bread with Kim, where a woman, Kimberly Umis, on Monday nights, 8 to 9, she comes on and she just basically, she dials up her friends. They talk about the issues of the week. They're women. They talk about the tea, as they call it. I'm not for it, but yeah, it's just that basically they all range. Then Friday at 4 in the afternoon, 4 to 6, we actually have a brother from the Muslims, and he has a show called the Dawah Hour, Brother Jabril Abraham. And that show, from, I remember when we first started working on getting him to his show, because he was actually on my show as well. He was all in doubt. I don't know how to do this. What do I talk about? What do I cover? And I just basically sat him down like, you have this entire religion and spiritual belief and practice, and you got an uncensored platform. So you could come out here and just basically explain to people that, hey, we're not all, off with his head and ha la 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 la. He basically comes on and says like how the true meaning of Allah and Islam is peace. So for that hour or 2 hours that he's on, and he comes in with the sermons from the Imam, the events going on through the community in the weekend. He's a very community-minded gentleman too. That's where we actually encountered each other.
So it probably goes without saying all the benefits that having a platform can do for your message, for your business. So
absolutely.
Tell me what it's like working with you to create a program on the main radio. When somebody comes up to you, what are the steps? What do they have to do first, and what does that look like?
Well, first I ask them, how serious are you? Because it's not a lot of work. All you need is a laptop with Windows 7 or better, Wi-Fi, and the ability to talk for cover 3 segments of 15 minutes. Other 15 minutes will be covered by commercials. So, but it's not like, once they kind of come in and get their feet wet, they don't need me anymore. So yeah, and that's basically where the 9 of the 10, 11 shows I think I brought to the network are at this point. I'm able to cut them all loose now instead of having to come up and make sure everything was running correct.
Gotcha. Is there a commitment to schedule? Is it daily, weekly? How many times are they required to submit a program?
Yeah, every show's once a week. Then there's dry spots in there where the music's playing, and if you got something to talk about, it's free. You can take it. So everybody, with the way it works is, once we get the program downloaded onto your laptop, you go there during your spot for that hour, and you're permitted to broadcast. And then when you're not on, because once you log off, because you have to, it's 3 15-minute segments and 5-minute breaks after each one, so that covers the hour. But basically, when you log off, it kicks back to the system, and that's where the commercials and the music plays.
Gotcha. Eric, tell us a little bit about, what inspired you to get into all this and got you to this point. When did, you've been on radio going on 10 years now. Like, what got you started? What inspired you?
You want the truth?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, I was in sales prior to doing radio for about 15 years. And the last company I worked for discriminated against me. And they did it so bad, I vowed I would never work for anyone ever again. So I bet on myself. I said, you know what? Since I was 15, people told me I had this immaculate voice. Why am I not on the radio? So where was I? I was like walking into a coffee house or something, and somebody heard me talking, and he actually happened to work for the TV station here. And he gave me his card. He said, call him Monday after 9 a.m. He'll find something for me to do. And I think later on that very week, 9 years ago, he got me in. He said, just make coffee. Stick your head into every door there is, bring the coffee, make yourself seen, introduce yourself. And it went okay. Like who can't make coffee? So yeah, and I kept the coffee pots full. I got to poke my head and, say something every so often, where he said like, hey, say something, Eric. This is when I was going by Eric at first, establishing myself. And yeah, that show I was on for about 3-4 months. And then when that concluded, actually another show on iHeartRadio got word of me, and he called me directly and said, hey, I want you to come up on my show 3 times a week. And, just pick up the phones and, do what you do. Make sure the coffee pots are full. I did that for 3-4 months. Then the local basketball team here, which was sponsoring the show I was on, and I was covering, I made a statement saying, like, I would go 23-02 if I was playing Farmers. That got back to them. They called my higher ups. Higher ups said, you got to go. So, yeah, then I ended up in Buffalo, New York after that. I did that for a year, but I refused to move to Buffalo. I hate Buffalo. I will never live there. I don't like being there, and I actually curse every time I have to go. But I did that for a year. Then I got fired out there after the incident with the Clippers. You remember Donald Sterling and the Clippers owner?
Yeah.
And from that got me fired because I talked about it. Even that after that morning, they said, Eric, we know how fired up you are. You cannot discuss that issue. I did it anyway because I was trying to get fired so I could get the payout before I left because I was going to quit that week anyway. But I talked about it, and the producer, I remember, I'll never forget her face. She's red, her eyes are like balls open, and she's making you're hanging yourself like behind the window. So I said what I had to say. I took my headset off. I walked right out. I went to the producer. I said, okay, just make sure I get my check. And I left. And I was done with radio again. This was probably the longest I ever went without doing it. That was for the rest of that summer. Then that September, the show I was on prior to leaving for Buffalo called me. He said, hey, look, I know it ended bad last time. That sponsor's gone. I'm going to bring you back in. He brought me back in, and I did it again. It was like I said something. The local team had won a game. No, they lost real bad. And the thing I always liked about radio is they can't see you. And the First Amendment basically protects you to a very fine line of you can say it, but it's how you say it. So I mastered that from watching the guy here in the mornings. And I said it again, and it wasn't the whole farmer's statement, but it was something on the construct of that. So I got fired again. Then,
so that's why you do better off directing the shows and managing the programs.
no. The story gets better. I mean, then my aunt had a clothing store that she just closed last year, but I'm in there because that was also what I was doing. I was helping run her store, and I'm in there and I'm talking, and this guy comes in and he says, "You did radio at Fox?" I said, "Yeah, for the last 3 years." He said, "What happened?" I said, "Well, other than being fired twice, and then I went to Buffalo, go try to do it. They fired me too." He said, "Okay, well, I got a show Sunday mornings. Come up. We'll give you, And he said, "Don't worry about it. You can basically, because nobody listened at that time on Sunday morning. The show had, compared to where the listenership is now since I've been on board, to when I came in, I want to say it's gone up 1,000%. So he was right though. He said, like, in order for me to mess that up, I have to basically, incite a riot, if I can say that. And I just crossed 5 years with him last weekend. And then that's the Fox Sports side. But like I said, I was at a party in 2018 where I forgot how many beers in I was. It was a lot. And I'm rambling. And this guy walks up to me. He said, "You do radio?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Wow, I know a guy who has a server." And we exchanged contact information. He called me because it was a Saturday night. I did the show that next morning. He called me like 5:30. He said, "What time are you on? And what's the station?" They listened to the Sunday morning show. Then that afternoon, we actually met with them. And that's when the wheels started turning for the Roar radio, which eventually turned into the main radio.
Very cool. Rick, so folks listening right now, how do they find you, connect with you, and learn more?
Okay, well, I'm on Facebook. Go to Facebook, type in Rick Tony Show. It's as it sounds is how it's spelled. RickTonyShow. I'm Legendary Eric on Twitter, ERICK. Instagram, Eric Myrthil is how you find me. And if it's okay, I'll give my phone number up.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if anybody wants to reach me about anything radio related, or you just want to give me a shout, 585-456-6109. And you can also email me at ricktony5000@gmail.com.
Awesome. Eric, I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing with my audience today. And I wish you continued success for you, for the main radio, and for all of your clients and listeners.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. And I appreciate the opportunity and for, opening up your platform for me to talk about it a little bit.
It's my pleasure. Eric Myrthil, he's the show director and manager for themainradio.com, also with iHeartRadio Rochester, New York as a host. This segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where professionals and business owners and entrepreneurs publish to grow their businesses and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. Until next time, I'm Mark Imperial. Take care.